In this video, we're learning about atoms and their structure. So we'll cover what atoms and elements are, and the structure of atoms. Let's begin by seeing what atoms and elements are. Just as living organisms are made of cells, everything, whether it's living, non-living, or even a cell itself, is made up of tiny particles called atoms. We often represent atoms as small spheres like this. In reality, atoms are so tiny that a single cell probably contains more than 100 trillion of them. Now, there are actually lots of different types of atoms, and we often see them represented as differently colored or differently sized spheres. We call each of these different types of atoms elements. For example, you may have heard of things like helium, lithium, oxygen, or copper. Well, each of these are different elements, so they would consist of different types of atom. And that's why we've shown the atoms as different sizes and colors. Each element has a 1 or 2 letter symbol that represents that element. So He represents helium, Li represents lithium, and O represents oxygen. Some symbols, though, are a bit more confusing. For example, copper is Cu. This model we've just been talking about, where we're thinking of atoms as different sized spheres, is called the Dalton model. And while it's really helpful because it helps us visualize how all matter is made up of atoms and how there are different types of atoms called elements, it's actually a simplification because atoms don't really look like simple spheres of different sizes. In reality, the structure of an atom looks more like this. There's a nucleus in the middle, which is made up of protons and neutrons, and then there are electrons that orbit around the nucleus in these rings we call shells. You can think of it like how planets orbit around the sun. This atom here that we're using as an example is the element lithium. But importantly, different elements will have different numbers of protons, neutrons, and electrons. For example, while lithium has 3 protons, 3 electrons, and 3 neutrons, an atom of helium, on the other hand, only has 2 protons, 2 electrons, and 2 neutrons. These differences in the structure of their atoms is what gives elements their special properties, and what makes them behave differently from each other.
If you haven't heard yet, you can find all of our videos on our website, cognito.org. You'll also find questions, flashcards, exam-style questions, and past papers. And we track all of your progress so that you always know what to study next. So sign up for free by clicking here, or browse our playlist here on YouTube.